Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilu nishmas R Mordechai. Today's shir is being sponsored by Avraham and Chava, Hakimian. Is that how you pronounce it? Mashro kazeh. He comes all the time. He's there every single day. Huh? How do you pronounce it? He came from New York, a year and a half ago. He was mispaled by I have a very, very chashuv uncle. His name is Reb Henach Savitsky. He was his Rav. For the bar mitzvah of my son, Yehudah. Givaldik. Next. Sponsored by Vladislav Zakharov. Refuah Shlema for my 86-year-old grandma with COVID. Nehama bas Haika. Rabbi Sai, we have unbelievable news. As of now, it is legal to congregate in a Beis Medrash as many people as could prove that they had 2 COVID shots or had COVID. So if you have a thing. Now, what is very interesting is that the new guys sitting around there at the table, they're schmoozing as if nothing happened. They don't know the rules. We are extremely strict here. We will kick you right out of the Beis Medrash. One word during shir. You understand? So, you too. Nachman.
Just learned yesterday.
Chutz mitzay. Okay, here. Sponsored by Zev Daniel Haskell, Jeff Haskell, Eli Nishmat, my beloved mother, my teacher, Sarah Baylah, Bas Yisroel David HaCohen on her 33rd yahrzeit. I have here a little note from him. Eli Stefansky, if you see this, I made sure to use my mother's Hebrew names this time around because I sensed that you were a little disappointed when I used my English names a few months ago for my father's yahrzeit. So I was never disappointed. Chas v'shalom, I'm not disappointed. I just pointed out the Gemara makes a big deal about us not changing our names. Chas v'shalom, I was not disappointed. The people that don't even wear yarmulkes at work, there's a big percentage of people. Not disappointed, but we could be better. We could do better. My father-in-law, a surgeon, top surgeon in the world, never once took off his yarmulke, didn't lose out. There's things that we could do better. But you know what? It's probably better to learn 5 minutes of Gemara than to change your name to Hebrew. I don't know, I'm just saying. I use English names. If you the Olam is mamish giddy here. I know, it's very exciting. The Olam is back. Sunday, we're making a full comeback. Rabbi Schoenberg is coming back, and everybody else who has. We're going to make a whole matzav here. I'm Bal Tshuva, and it still feels funny using my Hebrew name in casual conversation and correspondence. Maybe it's time that I started getting used to it. Sponsored by Zev Daniel Haskell. Yes. By Eli Dyckman. I think I forgot to mention his name yesterday, but he was up behind me. Eli nishmas Hendel Miriam, R Mordechai Duvid. He's up twice today, maybe. Is he really?
Yeah, twice.
Because this one doesn't have that she was nifter yesterday. This one says yesterday. Okay, Lamasha. He deserves it twice. Eli deserves it twice. He's sponsoring the whole week. Yossi Shasha, also a person that's sponsoring a bunch of days. Vladov is also a bunch of days. You're going to see these names. Refuah Shlema for Shmuel ben Devora, a young father of 3, by Yossi Shasha. With a giving heart that never stops. Please keep him in your minds for complete recovery. Here's the shtickle Purim Torah, real quickly, from a David address. He's telling us that he basically got out of the hospital. He's out of bed already. He's back to work. He's just a little winded. I was so deeply moved by all the goodwill and wishes from you and the Chevra. You should have seen the huge smile on my face when I saw you were calling when I was in the ER last week. My wife thought I was getting a call from the president or something. I told her more like the Galadar. So I read this to my wife and I said, no matter what, I'm never going to let this get to me. She goes, what do you mean? It already did. Just like that, without even a smile, nothing. She's serious. Chas v'shalom. So many people reached out. It meant so much to me. Words cannot even express it. Please keep all the amazing work. You're literally moving mountains in Cholei Yisrael. You're impacting the Torah, teaching one of the inspiring stories. Reading, even your reading of medical records are sitting through thousands of Cholei Yisrael. I'm so glad I can be part of it in the MDY family. Thank you. Your support team, David address. You need to tell me that diet. I need to lower my cholesterol next. MDY cookbook next.
Intermittent fasting, that's all it is.
Intermittent fasting? No, but when you break the fast, the trick is when you break your fast, let's say you fast for 16 or 18 hours, you don't break it on chocolate and ash, you break it on healthy food.
Sure.
Fruits, vegetables, healthy food. You want whatever you think is healthy. Rabbi Sai, we are starting a brand new parak, which is for sure a brand new Masechta. And today's daf is an amazing Agadah daf. My poor son, I told him, do me a favor. He's 14 years old. I said, count how many words are in this daf. It looked like a tremendous... He comes back to me. He says, I counted it, but I think there's a much easier way. So that I realized I could just take the Barilam, put it into Word, and it gave me a number. There might even be an easier way. Came out to about 1,100 words. One word for each daf that we learned from the beginning of the shir 3 years ago. 1,100, it's a lot of words. So there's not a lot of time. There's so much to say here on this daf, there's not a lot of time for mices and stuff like that. We just have to read the words. But we'll try to stick in whatever we can. Zok Mishnah. We have the concept that we discussed many times that you must, the official Mishnah sponsored by Official from Official Catering in Baltimore, Yishkoyach for the reminder, it is in my Gemara here. You must be part of Shalom Aleichem Akiva. Wow. And your father. Shalom Aleichem. You must be part of a group in order to eat the Korban Pesach. But you cannot be part of two groups. You have to say, you have to decide where are you part of. It's the Pasuk. It says in the Pasuk, we had this. You have to be part of the group and you have to be counted beforehand. So the Mishnah discusses what happens to a wife and children. So the wife and children are going to go with the husband's carbon typically. Unless, says the Mishnah, when she's in her husband's house, because in those days, they did Erusin, and they hung out in their parents' house for maybe even a year, up to a year. They were like, well, it's almost marriage. But they stayed by their father's house, and then by Nisuin, they went to their husband's house. When she is fully married, she's in her husband's house. So if both her father and her husband had her in mind in the carbon, she eats from her husband's carbon. Let's remember this because there's going to be a brisa that says the opposite. First Yantiv, Rashi says that was the minig. In fact, that's the minig today. That the first Yantiv, the first Pesach, you go to the Shver's house. Some even say that's why you don't wear a kittel, you don't want to up the Shver. Whatever, fine. You go to the Shver's house. Excuse me. Sorry. So what if, again, both of them made a carbon Pesach, the husband and the father, now she could pick and choose. And we're going to see in the Gemara why. You can't really. The Gemara says it's not true. This is a very small chiddush. In fact, she cannot pick and choose. She has to pick and choose before the shechita the Gemara is going to say. Yasam sheshachadu olav abitropsin. An orphan who had the caregivers, the people that took care of him, the abitropsim, he had two. And each one decided, we got to take care of this Yasam. Let's think about him. He's part of the carbon. And each one did so. He could eat wherever he wants. If you have a slave that's owned by two people. Now, a slave, a non-Jewish slave, is chayiv in mitzvahs just like a woman. So he's chayiv in carbon Pesach. Now, Rashi says, how could Reuven and Shimon own the slave? How could Reuven go ahead and give Shimon's part a carbon Pesach? He's owned by Reuven and Shimon. He could give his own part a carbon Pesach. He give 50%. He owns from 1 to 50, but from 50 to 100 he doesn't own. That's somebody else. So how could he give a carbon Pesach from 50 to 100? It doesn't work. So therefore, neither of them is a good carbon. If you just take this idea, there's a Reuven and Shimon that own one slave, and one of them released the slave, or the owner released the slave, half of him. But let's talk about, this is the easier one to realize. Reuven and Shimon own a slave. Shimon says, you are free to go. Famous Gemara. Now what? Loi yoichal Michel Rabbi. Again, the master didn't give a carbon to the part that's free. From 50 to 100, he's a free man. He's a complete Jew. So from 50 to 100, the master didn't give him a carbon Pesach to that part. Only the part that he owns. Says the Gemara, from the fact that the woman can pick and choose if she wants to use her husband's carbon or her father's carbon, Shabbos Mino Ish Breira. You could go retroactively, figure out retroactively which one of the two korbanos was for her, because she could only be part of one. So she has the right to choose. You hear David Feinberg? This is the Beis Medrash. And in the Beis Medrash, we don't chat, we're not writing. I'm just saying. There's no phones, there's nothing, we're here 100%. But I understand, listen, statistician has to do statistician stuff. Zok the Gemara, I'm not really not picking on you, it's not Hagen Shani. Shabbos Min Al Yesh Break, you can do whatever you want. What? No, I'm just saying, people come with their bad habits, from the Zoom habits. They're home, and what are they doing while they're watching the share? I see them. Leave your habits at home. Come here, we're learning Torah, that's it, we're done. Shabbos Min Al Yesh Breira, my roitza b'shashchita, says the Gemara. There's almost no chiddush. Here we go. They're all picking up the phones. L'schus David Feinberg. Let those guys on Zoom, those nebuchs that are not in the Beis Medrash, let them correct me. By the way, no, you told me to bring a computer. You're gonna. Fine, you bring a computer. We'll let Noam do it. And if you see anybody on the chat that's in the Beis Medrash, you let me know right away. My rights of b'shashchita. The only time she has to choose, really, we can't do any retroactive. She could only pick and choose when you're in the Beis Hamikdash. So really, there's no chiddush here. She could choose from her father, she could choose from her husband. Says the Gemara Veramino, but we have a brayso that says the exact opposite. Isha regular rishon echeles mishel avia. The first yantiv, she goes and she eats from her father's. And what do we say in our Mishnah? She has a choice. Over here, it doesn't give her a choice. She's only her father. Mikan ve'elach. After the first yantiv, now, in our Mishnah, we said very different. We said once it's over, once the marriage takes place, everything is going fine, the Shalom Bayis is great, she's only her husband. Whatever her husband does, not her, doesn't have a choice now. The Brisa says she has a choice. Loi kasha. Says the Gemara, very interesting. There's a woman that constantly wants to go visit her father. A woman like that is a raya that her marriage didn't take hold yet. So such a woman, she could benefit from her father's carbon as well. That's the brisa. But the Mishnah is talking about a woman who loves her husband, she's with him, she forgot about her father, she doesn't need to go back, visit mommy every day. Okay, we're not talking about Hungarians and so on, we're talking about regular people. Well, I married a Hungarian, so it's a little different. It's not, my marriage is perfect. The reason why my wife goes back every day is because she's Hungarian. It's not, no shaykhs. So it's interesting, the Gemara brings here a pasuk, maybe it's a fakir terai, but you see the idea of oz hayisi be'einav k'moitzi shalom. The woman saying, I'm like in the eyes of my husband, I'm shalom, I'm perfect. I just want to point out here one thing, just one thing for today. I'm throwing this out with a little bit of a twist. I think I got this from the Cholei Yisrael and whatever else. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu did a tremendous chesed with us that He gave us parents and He gave us children. We could have been born on a tree, like just drop down, parachuted from some, and do our avodah. No. But He gave us parents and children, so when we have children, we see how much goes into the children. Then we appreciate our parents even more. We don't need children for that, but to understand the relationship between a father and a son. And more so, the relationship between a husband and a wife. The whole Shir HaShirim. And more so, the relationship that a chassan has with a kala. That unbelievable relationship that doesn't last very long. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us that gift to go back and draw upon it. To see that it's possible that you are so focused on one person, that every thought of yours is in that person, and everything you do, even when you're talking to your friend and she's watching, you're thinking, what is she thinking of me of this, and how are you going to write this letter, and what the gift? And that's a gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us so that we could draw from it and use it with our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because that's the ultimate relationship. When you could treat HaKadosh Baruch Hu and deal with HaKadosh Baruch Hu the way you dealt with your kala, that's dveikus, shtoikikus, and all that. All right. So, anyways, going back to here. I don't know if there was Zeicha. There's Zeicha after the wedding. There's a kala who who wants to run back to her father and tell her how wonderful her husband is treating her and how great it is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking. This is a mashal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Cholei Yisrael. Tikri Ishi, you'll call me Ishi, which is a much stronger lashon. It's a lashon of Ishus. V'loi Tikri li oid bali. You're no longer my husband, but you're my Ishus. V'loi Tikri li oid bali. Bali. Yeah, okay, but in Hebrew, bali is a husband. Yeah. The literal translation is master, right? Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Kikala beveis chamia, veloy kichala beveis avia. Bekitzer, like a kala that goes back, that's in her, because in those days they used to live a lot in their shver's house, so to speak. You're not supposed to live in your mother-in-law's house, but you live in, the daughter-in-law lives in her shver's house. Veloy kichala beveis avia. They got married really, really young then. They were kids, basically. So they lived in the... All right. Says the Gemara. We have a younger sister. She doesn't have the ability to nurse, to give over. So Rashi brings, Elam was in Persia. Rashi brings Daniel. But what's very interesting that in Kedushin, they bring down, that in Kedushin, Rashi says that Mordechai was also there. And that gives us a little bit of an insight what was going on in the time of Purim. That you had Mordechai and Daniel, two Gdolei Olam, and they couldn't teach Torah. Why? Because nobody was there to teach it to them. The Yidden weren't on them, they weren't learning. They weren't learning Torah. They didn't have the ability to nurse, to give over. Ani chayma b'shodai kimigdalos. Omer Rabbi Yochanan, ani chayma. I'm a wall that protects. How? Zu Torah. What protects us? The properties of protection come from Torah. B'shodai kimigdalos elu talmidei chachamim. The towers. These are talmidei chachamim. V'rava Omar ani chayma zu knesses Yisrael. Protect the whole generation. B'shodai kimigdalos elu batei knesiyos ubatei midrash is amazing. The shuls, the batei midrash. Right. Exactly. I was thinking about that. We don't have the shuls 100% yet. A lot of people go to shul. This table right here, most of us don't daven in a proper shul. Yosef does right here in this minute. But if you don't have a shul, you have to be smashed. You have MDY. It's the protector of the generation. Our young boys are like small trees, like saplings. Our daughters, Chizaviyos, Mechutavos. I don't know if anybody davens in our shul or in the Yekesh shul in Yerushalayim, they sing this on Motzei Shabbos. Na 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 na. I'm not going to sing it now. Na 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 na. Okay, fine. When I say Mechutavos taven seichol, what does it mean? The girls are like the corners. It's a very, very interesting pasuk. They're like corners that are like molded in like the Heichal, like the Beis Hamikdash. Asher bonenu kinetiyim elu bachur Yisrael shli tamu tam chet. They didn't sin, the young kids, the young bachurim. B'neisenu chazaviyos elu besulos Yisrael she'ogdes pischeim lebaleim. The young virgins, they keep themselves pure for their husbands. One pshat and Rashi. You know what pshat and Rashi is? That even though they're full of taiva, they tell their husbands when they're in nida. V'cheinu oimer umalu ki mizrak chazaviyos mizbeach. Mizrak is a bowl full of. It's a lashon of being full of taiva. Iboy seima mahacha mizavenu meleim mefikim mizan al zan. Our corners are full of grain. So ineinu ma'alifa yeah. Mechutavos tavnis heichol. It must be Yekishin again. It's unbelievable that these girls, these boys, it's ki'ilu nivna heichal b'yameim. Because when a person is moineh himself, prevents himself, abstains from taiva, that brings kedusha. And by abstaining from taivas when they're younger and they wait until they get married, it's ki'ilu you built the heichal. So it's unbelievable because, we're going now into a whole Hosheya. We had before a pasuk from Hosheya. and now we're just going to go through Hosea, more Hosea. Devora Hashem asher hoya Hosea b'mei Uziyahu Yosam Achaz Yichizkiyahu Melech Yehudah. Says the Gemara b'Perek Nisnabu Arba Neviim. There were 4 Neviim. Here. These are the 4. I did it for later, but Uziyahu Yosam Achaz Yichizkiyahu. So you have, no, these are, sorry, these are not the Neviim. These are the Malachim. For later. Perek Nisnabu Arba Neviim. V'Golish b'Kulam Yishaya. The greatest out of the 4 was Yishaya. Shenemar. Tchilas Diber Hashem bo Yishaya. First, HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Yishaya. Yishaya Diber Tchila is the first time there was a Nevuah. V'alei ben Moshe Yishaya kam Neviim. There was many Neviim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Tchila Arba Neviim shenisnav b'Oiz Perek. He was the first out of the 4 in that generation. Ve'elohen Hoshea, Yishaya, Amos, Umicha. They each have a Navi. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yishaya. So Rashi points out that HaKadosh Baruch Hu never really said this. It's not brought down in Navi. So what happened is that we have to extrapolate, right? Is that the word? We have to, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu said something later on, we have to understand that there's a conversation that happened beforehand. And this is what happened. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Yishaya, Bonecha Chatu. Cholei Yisrael, they're bad people. We'll see in the Gemara, it wasn't the greatest generation. So what should it be answered? They're your children. Bnei Chanunecha, you favored them. Bnei Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Galgo rachamecha aleim, shel Avrachmanas. Not only did he not say that, get rid of them. Send them to Germany. We don't need them. Unbelievable. There's a whole shtickle Torah. We're not going to get into it. We're going to see soon. Zakin Zeh might have a ramification. We're not going to see soon. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, I want you to go marry a Zaina. Now, the Ben Yoda says on the spot over here that it's a mitzvah to say that this never happened, that it was a nevuah. Okay, yesh v'yesh. There's others that say the same thing. It says, Kach isha Zaina v'hoid l'cha barim zununim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to teach him a lesson. How do you speak like that? I'm going to give you a lesson that you're going to see that what you said is wrong. Hands on. Go marry Zaina. And go have children from a Zaina. Then I'm going to tell you, go get divorced. If he could divorce her, it's Yisrael, then come back to me and tell me what you just said. He went, in fact, and he married a woman called Gomer, a famous Zaina. Gomer, how she Zaina, Gomer. Everybody finishes their taiva. Bas Divlayim. We just turned to Pei Zayin and Beis. Sponsored by Kesher.org. Schus for the struggling kids in pain of Cholei Yisrael. For Refuah Shlema of all Cholei Yisrael, especially for our MDY family. Please consider joining MDY Tehillim group at tehillim.8mindaf.com. What's Divlayim? Dibara, Bas Dibara, she had a bad reputation. Her mother had a bad reputation. She was sweet to everybody like a sweet fig. They all trod on her like a devela. Kitzer Zaina. Dova Acher Gomer. Omer Yehudah Shebikshu Gamer Mamayim Yisrael B'Yameh. They want to get rid of all the money of Cholei Yisrael in her generation. In fact, that's what happened. Okay, so he marries the Zaina and they have the first son. Unbelievable. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him exactly what to call all 3 of his children. And each one represents a terrible oynish. Yisrael is that they should be in Golos. Ki oid ma'ad of katis dmei Yisrael. We're holding by the first wide line here, Rabbi Isai. Al beis yehu vishbati mamluchus beis Yisrael. Okay? Then they had a daughter. Unbelievable. Loi ruchama. I don't have pity. We're talking about funny names yesterday. His name is born Rav Huna. There's a guy in Chaim Berlin. I don't know where he is now. His name was like Ish Yerushalayim. You have people like that. But this name, Loi Ruchama, not Ruchama, Loi Ruchama. I'm not going to have pity. Ki lo Yosef Arachim is Beis Yisrael ki nosoy esalehem. And then the 3rd child came along. Kroshmoy Lo Yami. Not Ami. There's a lot of Amis now. Lo Yami. You're not my nation. Katem Lo Yami. So in other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to have Rachmanis. He's going to throw Cholei Yisrael Golos. And you're not my nation. Katem Lo Yami v'anoich lo yeh lochem. You're not my nation, I'm not going to be there for you. According to every shita, this is in kind Puruvu. You should have learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. He never knew when I'm going to come along and give him a devora, so therefore he separated from his wife. Get divorced. I have a ganze mishpacha going on here. Just divorce her. Who's going to be there for the children? The little Garsha. Look at this. Who did you marry? A Zayna. There's a whole raid here. If you look in the Marshal, bring it on the spot, in the art scroll, in the Mesifta, there's a big concept in Shas called Bilos Achar Abal. Does it apply to Zayna? Not. Okay. But that's why they say that he called him a Zaken. You're a Zaken. So by a Zaken it might be different. You don't have Kol Bilos Achar Abal because he's a Zaken. Fine. You don't even know if they're your children. Yisrael Shem Bonai. These are my children. B'nei v'chunai. You're the one that were tested. The kids of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. B'nei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. This is unbelievable. Echad marba ki yonim shekanisi b'ilami. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I acquired 4 things from this world. You hear this? 4 things. What are the 4 important things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu acquired? Torah, kinyan echad. He acquired Torah. We're here learning Torah. The Chsiv Hashem Kanani Reishis Darkot. Hashem Kanani. He acquired it. Shomayim Ba'aretz Kinyan Echad. And heaven and earth. The Chsiv Koine Shomayim Ba'aretz. He acquired Shomayim Ba'aretz. Beis HaMikdash Kinyan Echad. And he also acquired the Beis HaMikdash. The Chsiv Harzei Konsa Yiminoi. Yisrael. And the 4th one is Cholei Yisrael. I acquired Cholei Yisrael. You want me to just give them away? The Chsiv Amzu Koniso. I acquired that nation. What is wrong with you? How do you tell me to just get rid of them like that? Now, Shea, he saw what he was dealing with. He figured they're not good. They're not good. We got to get rid of them. No, he made a tremendous mistake. He realized that Baruch Hu showed him, hands on. He sinned. So first, he was selfish. He decided to ask Rahmanas on himself. You should really ask him, Cholei Yisrael, because of you, I put them in Golos, loy ami, loy, what is it? Loy ruchama. I don't have Rahmanas on them anymore. They're not my nation. You better take care of that first. So he asked Rachamim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the Gzera, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu started to bench them. Shenemar. Instead of saying, they're not my nation, they are my sons. Instead of not having Rahmanas, sorry. I'm going to have Rahmanas. That which I said, I'm not going to have Rahmanas, I'm going to have Rahmanas. And that which I said, you're not my nation. You're my nation. According to Ben Yoyada. This is machlokes. There are those who said it did. It's just the answer, like Zayna, the whole thing. Why not? You could. HaKadosh Baruch Hu do anything. It's just one way of looking at it. Rabbi Yochanan. Oyla l'rabbanos shemkaveres is boleh. It's not talking about a rav as much as it's talking about having authority, being a king, being in charge of somebody. What does it do? Shemkaveres is baaleh. People don't live very long. If you search a mafia boss, what's the life expectancy of a mafia boss? 19 years is from the time that you become a mafia soldier. They don't live very long. 40, whatever it is, I don't remember anymore. It's a very short life expectancy. When you're in charge of other people, when you have a Navi, the Nevi'im outlived Arba Melachim B'Yamav. Shenemar, Chazal Yishayahu ben Amoitz, Asher Chazal Yehudah B'Yerushalayim, V'Goymer, so you have to finish the pasuk. Here's the end of the pasuk. Chazal Yishayahu ben Amoitz. So Yishayahu is the Navi, and he outlived Uziyahu, Yoisam, Achaz, and Yechizkiyahu, who were Malchi Yehudah, were the kings. So he outlived 4 kings. So you see that the kings, they rule and they use their authority. You don't live very long. Omer Rabbi Yochanan. Something very interesting, because typically, here, you haven't seen this pasuk. It's always about Malchi Yehudah. You never see in the Navi that the Navi cares about the Malchi Yisrael. It was Malchi Yehudah. So why is it that Yeravam, he was Zoicha to be counted, to be considered? Mipnei sheloi kibel loshen hara al amois. He didn't accept loshen hara on amois. Min alon. How do you see that he was actually reckoned with? T'chsiv dvar Hashem asher hoya Yishia ben be'eri b'mei uziyah yoisam achaz yichizkiah malchi Yehudah ubimei Yoravam. Here he is. That's his name. Yoravam ben Yoyash melch Yisrael. Umin alon lo kibel loshen hara. We're by the very wide line. T'chsiv. I don't know, Mordechai, you said you're going to be able to get that up somehow. Oh, I see. No, that on Zoom, here it is, on Zoom. Okay. Vayishalach amtziyo koyin bas el Yerava melech Yisrael. This was a desire person. Leimar. They sent a message. Koshar alecha. They're talking about getting rid of you. Amois said, the Navi, they said that Yeravam said that you're going to kill you. I don't believe it. I have aftacha that I'm going to be here for 4 generations, my family, 4 generations. I'm not going to die. So I don't believe that he said it. Instead of going and say, what? That's what he said. Let me take his head. No. I'm not Makabal Lashon Hara. And even if he did say, there's nothing I can do about it. Why? So, because he was so certain that Baruch Hu gave this haftacha that he is going to live, he's going to be there for 4 generations, then it's impossible that Baruch Hu said. And if Baruch Hu did say, then maybe there's some sort of chet, and that's why there's that nevuah, but it's not Amos' fault, and there's no reason to punish him. Even when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset, so to speak, he still has Rahman. Shenemar, Kiloi Oisef Oid Arachim. It doesn't say in the pasuk Kiloi Oisef Oid Lirachim with a lamed. It says Arachim. It's almost like a play on words. It's like a Lashon Saginok. Arachim. I will have Rahmanas. Kiloi Oisef Oid Arachim. You could put a comma there. Kiloi Oisef Oid Arachim. I will have Rahmanas. Es Beis Yisrael. Yezei Bar Chanino Amar Ma'acha. Kinosoi Es Elohem. I'll forgive them. Very interesting line here. I don't know, because we always learn that you're not supposed to accept a ger. You should make it very difficult for a ger. We have gerim. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us in Golos so we should go out and deal with gerim, go and grab gerim? Maybe not. Maybe the guy will see us and they'll become gerim kind of thing. I don't know what the pshat is exactly. But as I stayed over here, that Baruch Hu put us in Golos.
It's not that we don't want them, it's just that we're testing their mettle.
I know, but let me so you're going to go and start recruiting.
No, we don't recruit.
Oh, so that's what I'm saying. So you don't recruit. So what, yes. So why are we in Golos? Oh, to give the opportunity. So they see us, they watch us, they want to be like us. Exactly. To be a light on the nations. Exactly. Elo kadesh yitoysu aleim gerim, that there should be more gerim shenemar uzratieli ba'aretz. I'll plant you now. Klum adam zurei saw. You're going to plant such a small amount. Elo achnes kamakurim in order to get a lot. So anyway, obviously I planted a small amount of Cholei Yisrael so that we should have many more of talking about gerim. If anybody could reach out to Amari Sternmeyer, we need him part of the. It would be very geschmack if he was part of it. Then we could have a couple games on Friday. He said it's harder to learn a Daf Gemara than it is to guard Shaq. Azar Tegazakt, a memory of this week. But if he'll come to this year, he'll see that it's a lot easier to learn Gemara than to guard Shaq. Zog the Gemara. Very interesting. Loi Ruchama is referring to the Goyim. I don't have a lot of Rachmanas on them. I will have Rachmanas on the people I don't have Rachmanas. In other words, I need these goyim to become gerim. Do not go, don't even talk not nicely about a slave, because Vashamta, it's going to be considered a sin. So it says a very interesting thing here. We're going to learn that when a Jew is in the lowest of the low, he's still a Jew. Don't slander a Yid, as we had before. It's a generation that he's going to curse the father, and you're not going to bench the mother. What does that have to do with not slandering? Elo. They're not Oived Hashem. They're cursing the Refuah Shlema. Don't throw them under the bus, and don't tell Hakadosh Baruch Hu, give them to another nation, like Hoshea did. Hoshea, so you see from here that he had sort of the right almost. They weren't good, so send them away. Give them to no, Hakadosh Baruch Hu punished them. Go marry Zayin on the whole thing. I got to slow down. What are we going to do? We're going to finish early? No? Anyway, we just had this pasuk. When was it? A few weeks ago. I don't remember when. By devora, she got punished. She was kind of like showing off. She said, "Look, Cholei Yisrael could be now in an open field. They don't need walls anymore." And she lost her nevuah, that daf, wherever that was. No, where was that? Where's Levi? Levi, where was that daf? You know what I'm talking about? Devora, she lost her nevuah. Where did they lose the nevuah? Somebody lost their chachma. Moshe Rabbeinu lost his chachma, right? And it wasn't a week ago. It was whatever. What? All right. Anyway, fine. I'm trying to stall so we don't finish before 8. The min. The Apikoris tells Rabbi Chanina, Anan malina minaychu. Oh, I skipped? Tzidkos presented with Yisrael, Tzedakos Hakadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. Hakadosh Baruch Hu did tremendous chesed with Cholei Yisrael, shepizron lebeinu umois. He scattered them around the world. V'haynu do b'le'au mino l'Rebbe Chanina, Anan malina minaychu. We're choshev, we're much better than you. Ksiv b'chu, ki sheishes chodashim yoshev sham v'goymer. It says over there that he destroyed every Zachar in Edom. You guys don't have any Rachmanis. You kill all the Goyim like that. Vilanan, look at us. We're polite. We're like the Germans. We're nice people. Isanchu gaban kameshnei. Look, you live with us. Look at all these years. We never did anything to you. We never chepped you. Such a dumb question. I'm not even going to answer. What I'm going to do is, I'll give you one of my underlings. Well, one of my talmidim could take care of you. So he gives Rabbi Shai. So Rabbi Shai immediately tells him, you know what? Samach Vav. Gevaldik. Oh! Rabbi David Feinberg. Shkoyach. Okay, you made... Really? He's mechaven on the spot 3 weeks ago. Mishum, you know why you don't kill out the Jews? Because you don't have the solution. You have no idea how to do it. You can't kill them all out. Why? They're not in one area. And if you're going to kill out, small neighborhoods, the whole world is going to talk about it. You're going to be in the news, the media is like, shame, they killed out. If you could kill everybody in one shot, great. You would do it in a second. The problem is you can't, and that's why Hakadosh Baruch Hu did a chesed with us. He scattered us. Omarlei, Gapaderemoy. It's like a shloshen of a shvu and avodah zara, the wall of Rome. That's exactly what we had a big meeting in the government, and we decided, how are we going to get rid of these Jews? And we figured we just can't do it. It's impossible. Because if we kill little pockets, the world's going to talk. It's not politically correct. And if we do it in one shot, they're not here. We can't do it in one shot. Fine. They had one chance. Why? Because they're all in one place. Very nice. He's saying that in MDY Purim they were able to do it one time in Cholei Yisrael because all of Cholei Yisrael was together. under his malchus maybe. Maidach siv Elokim haven darko vu yoda es mekoyma. Yidei HaKadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands Cholei Yisrael she'enu yichol l'kavah gzeres achzoris Edom. They can't stand Edom. There's different yahrzeit here. Maybe there's a change in the print because of the Goyim and the Romans. Lefichach higla oisam leBavel. Bavel was a lot nicer to the Jews. It was closer to the redemption by being closer to Shoel. You come out of Shoel, you're going to be already at the Geula. You know why in Bavel? Aramaic. Aramaic is very similar to Lashon Torah. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Bnei Sheshigron lebeis iman. Because Baruch sent them right back to where the mother, to their mother's place. In other words, Avraham Avinu came from Ur Kasdim. He wasn't really. That's where he discovered HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Ur Kasdim. He sent him right back to Kasdim. Mashal Adam Shkas Alishtoy. Person is mad at his wife. Leichem Mishagra. What does he send her out? Lebeis iman, to her mother's house. By the Rebbe Alexandria, Damar Shloisha Chazru L'Matasan. There's three that went back to the original state. Eloel, Yisrael, Cholei Yisrael, Kesher Mitzrayim, the money, the belongings of Mitzrayim, that belong to the Jews, Uchsav Luchos, and the words of the Luchos. Yisrael, Adamar, we just said they went back to Bavel. Kesef Mitzrayim, D'chsiv Vayi B'shona Chamishis L'melech, Rechavam, Ola Noam Tehillim, because he left. D'chsiv Vayi B'shona Chamishis L'melech, Rechavam, Ola Shishak Melech Mitzrayim Al Yerushalayim, V'goymer. Fine, so they got it back. Chsav Luchos, D'chsiv Vo'esh B'rem L'nechem, I'll break the Luchos in front of you. Tana, Luchos Nishbru V'ayis Parchos. The words went right back up to Shemayim to be repurposed. Ula Amar, K'dei sheyochlu t'morim v'yasku b'Torah. We still have 2 minutes. We can keep on going. Ula says that Cholei Yisrael should be able to eat a lot of dates and learn Torah. In other words, they should live berachvis. Ula ikla lepumbedisa. Says the Gemara. Ula went to pumbedisa kurivele tiryana the tamre. They gave him some of these beautiful dates. Amar lo kama gana bezuzah. How much does it cost? What's the price over here in Bavel? Omalei plus bezuzah. You get 3 for zuz. Omar melot tzana the duvsha bezuzah. You can make how much honey can you make out of the 3? You make 1. So in other words, 1 thing of honey costs 1 zuz. Ubavloy ask about rice. I don't understand. Things are so cheap here. It's like in America. Like you can get a whole Slurpee for 99 cents. It's America. You have call Tuv Shabbaylam. You go on Amazon for $2. It comes to your house in 25 minutes. It's unbelievable. And you don't learn Torah. What's your excuse? Rabbi say, what's your excuse? Unbelievable. Says the Gemara, Belei Tzaru. These dates that he ate caused him tremendous aggravation. He had tremendous stomach ache. Omar, Malot Tzano Samo de Moisa. You know what? I take it back. This poison, these Nebuch Yidden in Bavel, they have to eat poison. They have to take from Amazon, the shtus from Amazon. The Moisa Bezuzah Bevavel, they could buy so much poison for $1. And nevertheless, they learn Torah. Let's be milamed schus on them. Fakir, mamish fakir from what I thought. Have a wonderful day. Shem Allah ismi amakim kol sicha adinoi. Adinoi shema v'koili tiyena zech k'shavos dekot achononoi. Ima v'inois tishmo ya adinoi mi amoid. Kimcha slicha v'man tivorei. Kivitza adinoi kivson nafshi v'ledvor yecholti. Mshil adinoi mishimon aboiker. Chai Yisrael adinoi gimana le'achaz v'abei mo'ifedos. Yisroel Israel, Mikala ben Esau v'acheni gim Yisrael, and Tzadam Yisrael. Oyim debei b'yom avei mishomogim achal nenzim v'tzadam v'chol. Lashto, azman k'rov v'nimar amen. Yeah, it's great to see you, Shimon. It's unbelievable. It's a tremendous thing every day. New guys. By the way, one thing that you forgot to do is take a picture. We need pictures of this as it's growing, as it's, huh? Yeah, okay. To go back, it's not the same thing as a.
I take the muster. These are my notes when I'm
messing with you. I'm messing with you.
And look, these are my notes. See all the things I'm missing. And this is my notes from today and yesterday. When I'm here in person, look.
Right.
Saying the chat.
But you know, why are you saying that? Nachamal, it's less.
When I'm at home, see all the blanks, all the things I'm missing. This is from today and yesterday. See how much notes I took.
That's right. I'm telling you.
See the notes I took.
No. I only said it to you because in the, how long were we here before we went on to the thing? We had,
70 days.
no. Oh, we're only 70 days. First 70 days. First 70 days, I never saw you playing your phone. Never. I'm saying you got used to it.
That's right. You're right.
No, don't be sorry. I'm giving Musa here. Because Avi left his phone at home. Come here, you serious?
The first 7 days,
I wasn't, I hope you didn't take it personal. It wasn't personal. Stop hacking Chani. Bemet, I'm not joking.
No, but I'm a Kabbalah.
It wasn't for you to be in Kabul. I was stop messing with you. It's good to see you. For real. Didn't buy. I don't care you on the phone.
But,
What?
Sometimes they're useful.
What did you say? I got the round two. I'm feeling fine. I have no issues at all. My wife is.
Sometimes the chat has some useful things. Sometimes it's chatter, but sometimes it's good horrors.
I know.
Like no sometimes will respond to things. He'll give good
But the phone is terrible.
The computer's different than the phone. So you bring a chiluk.
What do you say?
You bring a chiluk between the computer and the phone and the chat with chats.
No, the whole. It's a distraction. A distraction to the now. To check the chat while you're learning is just a distraction. I'm telling you, for me, like, if my phone is in front of me and then all of a sudden I see WhatsApp, you stop. You stop.
If suddenly you're making a joke in comments, I might glance to see it, and so someone asks a question.
I'm not giving you aura. I'm saying I just know for. No, the chat is a distraction. You can't learn the daf and do the chat. It's like no. It's good for certain people. They need it. Yeah. I'm saying somebody that knows how to learn. Somebody that's a learner.
Sometimes we'll ask a real thing, and you're there.
Oi! I gotta go to these guys.
Now that you're here, I don't know who can answer.
I cannot believe Avraham Hakimian. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Just tell me once. It's 3 times. Say it nice and slow, so I remember. Oh, sorry. I interrupted. I didn't have. I was like Yeshua for a second. Sorry.
We didn't hear the answer.
Oh, yeah, good day.
We didn't hear the answer to your joke.
Yeah, good day.
No, he asked why no, he wanted to know why Yisroel voted in the fight. We didn't understand. There was a joke.
So just leave your phone. No.
Because the guy goes to the Kesher, he says every time he drinks, he feels like another person. So he keeps on drinking the whole bottle.
Ma.
SSD for the computer.
You guys are talking about the thing about getting. Good morning. You're talking about the drive. Who was that? That's Reb Hershey. Rabbi says, stop, time out. Reb Hershey leader's on. What's wrong with you? How about now? Do you hear me now? The doctor's in the house, but you know who else is in the house? Reb Hershey leader. Reb Hershey leader's in the house.
I had to meet up with Bernard yesterday.
Oh, really?
I'm still stuck here, but I've been listening to your show every single day.
I really appreciate it. What about Avigdor? Is he still giving shir because he's stuck in America or not really?
No, he's not. He's not giving share. I don't think he's stuck in America.
The consistency of MDY. MDY has consistency. You got to drop my brother-in-law like a hot potato. Don't ever go back to shir. No, I'm just kidding. Chas v'shalom. Avigdor's stuck in America. I told you what happened yesterday with my sister. I don't know. Hershey, you heard? She was so scared. She was in the airport and they said, we're going to have to take you now to a hotel for 12 days. She said, what? 12 days? They said, yeah, don't worry about it. Every 24 hours, we're going to let you out of your room with soldiers to take a breath of fresh air for 30 minutes. You have nothing to worry about. It's almost like a jail, but it's not like it. Don't worry. The person she calls up is my wife. Now, my wife is not known as a macher, as somebody that could get people out of jail. So she comes running. My wife is hyperventilating, and I hear my sister hyperventilating. I said, call up the macher of the neighborhood. There's a woman in this neighborhood. Her name is Chaya Yosevich. She's a macher. She called her up, and Chaya Yosevich says, whatever she does, do not go into the lobby. You cannot go into the hotel, because once you go in and you register, you can never get out, even with a macher. Fine. She put up a whole fight. They physically grabbed her and tossed her into an ambulance with her suitcases. Ambulance drives to Yerushalayim, to the Dan Panorama Hotel, and they throw her into the lobby. The problem is that her phone died. So now my wife can't reach her, and basically we're trying to give her messages. Don't do this, say that. Chaya Yosevich gets her a permission not to go in, but there's no phone. So she was fighting, and she said, I'm not going into the room. They said, we're going to throw you in physically. This is not, you don't have an option. You could either go on your own 2 feet, or they put her in a room and lock the room. They lock her from the outside. You just can't come out. So, yeah, this is what they do. It's called a malonid. If you come back, this is what Yeshua is going to go through now. When Yeshua comes back to Israel on Sunday, 10 days.
He came back. You brother know.
No. When they were at the airport, they separated them. They said, my sister could go, my brother-in-law can't go. So my sister was so sad that my brother-in-law couldn't go. It turns out that she was the one that had to be sad because she almost sat there. Anyway, the entire Friday, Chaya worked really hard with Fegi, and they were going back and forth and back, and they released her. Somehow there was an ace. Half hour before Shabbos, she got home. Oh, she is mad at the government. Ooh. How did they do this to me?
Before you left, you know this is going to happen. Right?
I told her, I said, what are you upset? What are you upset? The Israelis, look what the Israelis, it's like a socialist country. I said, you knew it. Not only that, they asked her, you have permission to leave? She said, yeah. She said, show us the permission. So she showed them something. She said, that doesn't count. So, but you're on the plane already, we'll let you just go, but you should know we're putting you in the system. So she thought it's a big joke. System. The system worked, and they got her when she came back. Now she had two shots, but since she left 3 days after the second shot, she didn't give it a full week, so they counted it as nothing really. And whatever it is, she got out. But now her husband is in America. And I was davening the whole time that she should fail and she shouldn't be able to come back to Yisrael. My brother shouldn't be upset at me. And then she got on. I was like, okay, at least he didn't get on. The kids are every turn and thing is like, oh, Gishmak, she's suffering, so now my brother will have less tightness on me. Ay. Mamish or Russia.
I thought your brother's going to blame you for making all the terrorists.
Hell yeah.